You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good day and welcome to the Mushie Moment for May 13th, 2025. Man, they just keep going faster. It's faster and faster and faster and faster. Next thing I turn around, it's like last week.
Last week, yeah. Yeah, so we missed it here doing something because I was away and we had a rerun last week. So just a big, huge, massive, happy belated birthday to my amazing co-host over here.
Who? I know. I turned, what did I turn? I turned 40-24.
That's right. You turned 40-24.
Yeah. Slowly climbing that ladder. Slowly.
Man, you're gonna hit 41 someday.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. I didn't feel any different the next day at all. I didn't feel any older. It's amazing.
You're still acting just as young.
So for my birthday, you took off to a beautiful dream trip.
I did. It was my dear friend's birthday, so I decided I needed to go live large just for him.
That's pretty awesome because I lived vicariously through that.
I've had a few friends reach out and say that, and like most people who use cannabis, when especially in my generation, your generation, probably the generation after me, you know, the big dream. One of the big dreams that's shared by many of us is to get to Amsterdam, the land of the tolerant, the land of the free, the land of, and it's not the land lack of laws, but it's the land. The eyes are more open there. It was really quite incredible. So I mean, I ended up going to Amsterdam, living you know, to quote Katy Perry, living a teenage dream, and I lived it very well.
And you even went at a special time of the year for them.
I did. It's kind of what ended up making the trip happen fast because I was looking at going and I was looking at tickets, you know, later on. I'm not even supposed to be gone yet. And then somebody asked me, he said, "Oh, you're going to go for the tulips." So I looked up the Tulip Festival and it ended yesterday, or ended Sunday, sorry. So I kind of rushed getting tickets and rushed going just so I could be there and go to the Kirkenhof Gardens, and it was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if a person has never gone and they're thinking of going and they're going to go by themselves, what would be the things you would say to help them?
Well, because of the one thing I didn't get to do that I would have loved to have done, going to the Anne Frank house, that you have to book 6 to 8 weeks ahead to go there. So you really should be planning your trips and booking that particular museum way ahead of time if you are interested in learning about Anne Frank. Beyond that, yeah, you get over there and see what you want to do. That's what I did. I mean, I went alone. The only thing I booked ahead of time was the tour to go to the gardens, and it's an all day tour. Yeah, but yeah, plan your trip, and if you're interested in the Anne Frank, book her early.
Wow.
Yeah.
So run us through your journey.
Oh my goodness, run through my journey.
Come on, you had to have a little excitement going. You're going to be landing. You're coming into a place you've never been. You got to have a little
Well, I flew across the Atlantic for the first time, and that really is where the journey begins. I've never, I've traveled North America. I've never gone overseas, so that was nerve-wracking in and of itself, and a journey in and of itself. Although I slept most of the way there, getting off the plane and knowing that you are literally across the ocean from your home was very surreal. Customs were a breeze, and finding my Uber was pretty easy. And then the first thing I did was go to a coffee house, and I walked in, and I said I need some good cannabis, and they looked at me like, American or Canadian? Canadian. So I bought they stored my luggage there for 2 hours for free at this particular coffee house called the Bluebird. The owner was there. He's the person that actually stored my luggage for me. And I sat there and I smoked a couple of joints and had a smoothie. Leave there after, because I had 2 joints because I had just landed. And I walked out, and I walked literally 30 seconds off the road, and I went into my second coffee house where I got a coffee and more joints, and met a Jamaican man who was actually working behind the counter. And, and that's the first thing. There are over 200 coffee houses in Amsterdam, and as you're walking around, you'll see dozens of them. They're super easy to find. The cannabis, I'm not going to lie, is probably the most expensive cannabis I have ever purchased in my life. Yeah, it was incredible.
The Amsterdam pricing. Oh.
Yeah, very much touristy pricing. That's where the coffee houses are making their money, is off that. The drinks and the eats are pretty cheap at these coffee houses, but the cannabis is quite expensive. The cheapest gram I bought was €13, which is almost 20 Canadian. And then the most expensive was €30, which is about 45 Canadian.
Wow. Now, prior to any of that, because not only was it Tulip Festival in Amsterdam, there's also another celebration. And before you even were on the plane, you found out about this other celebration. So tell us about that one.
That one was pretty cool. I'm glad that you asked about that. Heading over to Amsterdam, I didn't realize that I was heading over for just tulip season. Their equivalent to Remembrance Day, they call it their Independence Day, was happening that Sunday that I was there. What was that? What was the date of that? The 4th. So they have celebrations. They lay wreaths. The political people come out. The king and queen come out. They have a 2 minutes of silence. So it's very reminiscent of what we do for our Remembrance Day. And then the next day is a continued celebrations, the actual official Independence Day on the 5th. And Canadians had a huge hand in their Independence Day. This year marks the 80th anniversary. So they flew the World War II veterans that were still around from Canada to Amsterdam to take part in a lot of the celebrations that were held over the week. And I had no idea this was going on. Not something I knew. So I get to Toronto, and I'm waiting for the plane to arrive. And I start realizing that I'm quite literally surrounded by military personnel. And I ended up talking with a young fella, and I said, "What's going on?" And he gave me a bit of education of what was happening. And so it was really cool to sit in amongst all of these people. I found out after I returned home. So I got home on the 8th. And on the 9th, I found out that not only was I surrounded by military personnel. I was surrounded by military personnel. Over half of them served in the same regiment I served in.
That's pretty cool.
It was really, really cool. So when we landed in Amsterdam, we had military police, firefighters, and the police escort our plane from where we landed into the gate. And when we showed up at the gate, they had 2 fire trucks there that as we came in, they gave us a tunnel of water. So they shot the water cannons up over the plane. So I have a video of that from the inside. And then on my wall somewhere, I posted the video from the outside. So it was really, really neat to be part of that. Completely unexpected. And then to find out that I was sitting there with people that, that I served in the same regiment as, obviously not at the same time. And then there was even one gentleman on the plane that I knew that I actually served with. He was a senior West Novi when I was just joining. So it was kind of, I wish that I had known that Gary was there ahead of time, but that was pretty neat to find out. And then of course in Amsterdam, I was very close. I was like a 3-minute walk away from where they held their Independence Day remembrance ceremony. Where the king, it was right across the street from the castle. So the king and queen come out and they walk over with the people and, they lay wreaths and they give speeches. All the speeches were in Dutch. I had no idea what anybody was saying, but it was very easy to understand, the heartfelt thought process. And the 2 minutes of silence. And then they followed it with everybody singing the anthem at a very soft, loving volume level. So it wasn't like, that patriotic yelling. It was just a very loving, soft singing of it. It was very beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that, in that time period, you have no idea, but you're going over while Canadians are actually being celebrated for something they've done for the country as well. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It was really neat. And if I had, I didn't bring anything that marked me as a Canadian, and I'm sure that would have, especially those 2 days, brought a lot of attention to me if I had.
I watched part of the celebration on TV here.
Oh wow, yeah.
They're showing it because they'd taken the soldiers over for it, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty neat to be in that plane. That was very very interesting and very very memory making.
And it's one of those proud moments, a proud Canadian moment too. It's like,
well, it is. And then it's not just that, but it's a proud West Nova Scotia Regiment moment. I was part of that regiment that was so large and such a big part of the Canadian force that was over there helping. So it wasn't just Canadian proud, it was my regiment proud. These are my brethren that are over there. So that was kind of really neat. And so I think there were, between the World War II veterans, their caregivers, and then the other military personnel that was invited to go over, and the military personnel that was organizing it, and there were 72 of them on my plane.
wow.
Yeah. And then me makes 73 because I'm a West Novi too, and I might not have been part of that, but just the fact that I'm a veteran and a veteran of the same regiment as a lot of them. They had 73. They just didn't know it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It was.
So then what other exciting and cool things?
I was very lucky because I had 8 days full of exciting and cool things. But if you want me to pick something as a talking point, it would have to, the next thing I'd have to go with is the swing. That was something that was completely unexpected that came from the only thing I planned. I went to the Kirkenoff Gardens, which was just freaking incredible. And I'll tell you about that later. But on the way there, the lady, the tour guide was talking, and she pointed out this building to us. And it's called the ADAM building. So A''DAM, short version of Amsterdam building. So the ADAM building or ADAM building. And on top of it, they had 3 swings that when they swing, they go out over the edge of the building. And so she said you can book a time to go up and you get the best view of Amsterdam. You can quite literally walk around the top and get pictures of the whole thing, which I did. And then if you're really daring, you can get on this swing and be swung out over the edge. So when you're on the out of the swing out, if you look down, it's nothing but ground 100 meters down. And I'm terrified of heights. But when she was talking about it and I looked up, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. And so before we were even out of Amsterdam on the way to Kirkenauf, I had my time booked. And I went the next day and I went up the 100 meters, all the flights, learned about this building, which is a really cool building. In the floor is one of the top rated nightclubs in Amsterdam. They close at 7 a.m. They run 3 nights a week. There is also a VR arcade, on one of the bottom floors. There's a revolving restaurant. So I went up and I took my pictures, and then I got on the swing, and it was incredible.
Now I'm waiting for you to say, in fact, I can even show you. I have it right here.
I thought you might have asked, but yes, I do have a video. We'll just play it and you can see. Here, let's see if I can even set it up so it's only the video on here. I can. So, yeah. There I am.
Now, how high is that?
Just over 100 meters. There's James. Live.
You're a daredevil now.
Yeah. So,
So bungee jumping and then parachuting?
no, but one of the next things I would like to do actually is
Squirrel suit?
Squirrel shoot. No, but when I decide to drive across Canada again and get to Toronto, the CN Tower has the edge walk. So, yeah, that's on my list of things to do now. That never would have been on my list before. But that swing, I mean, you're on there for probably about 3 minutes. And it was just absolutely the most terrifying and exhilarating thing I think I have ever done in my whole life.
Okay, now it starts out terrifying and exhilarating, but did it stay terrifying and exhilarating through the whole thing, or did it start terrifying and exhilarating and end in exhilaration?
Oh, no, it pretty much stayed the same. Yeah, 3 minutes of absolutely terrifying exhilaration. I did get to a point probably about a minute in where I took a deep breath and I said, I'm never going to do this again. So I might as well just start looking around and enjoying it. And so then I had 2 minutes of terrifying exhilaration, but instead of just holding on for dear life, I held on for dear life and I looked around and I actually looked down and, if you're only going to do it once and it's only a few minutes long, take it all in. And that's kind of what I got from that. It was
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It,
and where is this? Where is that unit? It's the ADAM building. What does it represent?
It's just, actually, the original building was built by Esso. It was owned and built by Esso, and it was one of their office buildings. They have moved. They're elsewhere now. I can't remember where they moved. And then the city put it up for sale, or Esso put it up for sale. And so people had to apply with their ideas and what they were willing to spend. And then they had to get approval, and whoever got approved won. So these gentlemen, I can't remember their names, but 3 gentlemen in the music business, actually, pardon me, they kind of pooled together and came up with this idea of what they wanted to do, and they put in their application, and they won out of 33 applicants. And when they won it, the revolving restaurant and the top floor, the lookout floor, and the swings weren't on it. It was just the 100-meter building. It was, that Esso had, so it had some parking, had some retail, and then it had the Esso office buildings in it. And when they redid it, I mean, like I say, like they've got a virtual reality arcade, a nightclub. They've got their offices in there. They've got some floors that are set up that people can rent, which, a lot of people that come into town that are there for recording and, famous people, they rent this. It's got bedrooms and whatnot. Then they have another loft area that you can have parties in and get-togethers in, where, again, is up for rent, with a revolving restaurant on the top, and then the lookout, like the indoor lookout, which has like another restaurant in it. It's not revolving. And there's also a virtual reality arcade thing set up there that's a tour of the city on a roller coaster, which was really cool. And then, of course, you can go upstairs to the outdoor lookout, which has the swings. So you're probably looking at about 100, and once it's all said and done, is 115, meters up that I was swinging.
Okay, now did you do the virtual roller coaster thing of?
Oh yeah.
You just put a VR set on and
VR thing on? It's very high end. You're in like this egg seat, and you hold on because it rolls you around with what's going on. So you're sitting there, and when you put the virtual reality on, you're sitting there. Now you're not seeing the people around you, but you see the area as if it were around you. And all of a sudden, King Kong's on the outside of the building, and he smashes into the glass, and he takes you out, and he puts you on this roller coaster thing, and off you go on a big old tour of the city.
Wow.
And it's very realistic. Like if you've got it down, so you've got no light coming in underneath. Like, I mean, like the chair shakes you around enough that, if you let yourself go, you're on this fucking roller coaster. It's like friggin' amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So does it give you like the tummy feeling and everything when you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it takes you like, and we went like, like a couple of times. Of course, it's virtual reality, so it takes you as high as you want. And then it sits you up at the top there for like, as you're hanging on just for like long enough. You look around, you see the whole city, and everything's beautiful. And then you do like the whole drop down. Pretty awesome.
Wow. Oh, I'm going to have to try. I love roller coasters. I'm going to have to try a couple virtual ones and see how they work. That's
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it was great. So, and one thing I'll say is everybody over there is extremely friendly. Like, I mean, it is most definitely a tourist city. It would have to be with the amount of people that go through it. For what I'm used to on the East Coast of Canada, it's a large city. But if you compare it to like Toronto or Vancouver, or like especially New York, it's actually quite a small city. And it's a small country. But there are, I think, like 2.5 million residents in the city. And then when you take and put all of the visitors that come in through a daily basis, it's very packed city.
Wow.
Yeah, tons of people.
Wow.
Yeah. But the gardens, let me tell you about the gardens for a minute, because I brought up the gardens here a minute ago. I went to a tulip garden. It's called the Kirkenhof. It's the largest tulip garden in the Netherlands. It's about 45-minute drive outside of Amsterdam. And, I went on a bus tour, and it was incredible. So on the way there, we got to learn a little bit about Amsterdam as we're driving along, and we got to learn a little bit about the gardens. This particular gardens, they plant 7 million bulbs every year in this gardens. 7 million bulbs. There are 40 gardeners, 40. That's it. Those are the only hands that touch those bulbs. 40 gardeners that plan what they're going to plant. They put it all together. They come up with the ideas. They make the blueprints. They are the only 40 that go out there and plant the bulbs. And then they just closed up on Sunday. So they started yesterday, Monday, digging up the bulbs. And only these 40 humans go out and dig up the bulbs. So now they are in the process on day 2, literally, of digging up the bulbs. And they will do that until the bulbs are dug up. They will clean them and dry them properly. And then they sell some of them, which we get the chance to buy while we're there. And then they keep what they need and make the plan for next year. And then in September, these 40 people will go out and plant approximately 7 million bulbs again. You're muted.
Oh yeah, big plane went over. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's wow. That's a lot of bulbs per person.
Yeah, it is very much a wow. They do an incredible job. I learned a lot about tulips when I was there. It was an amazing tour that we were taken on. And then part of this tour, we went to a little town. So we left the state of Holland and went to a neighboring state. I can't remember which one it was. And we went to this town that housed the majority of the windmills that are still in the Netherlands, because a lot of them have been destroyed. So we got to go see like a few of the actual working windmills. One of them made paint, one of them made mustard, and another one made paper. And the paper one has a lot of history to it, because it made the paper that the United States Constitution is written on.
Wow.
Yeah, so it makes paper for very high-end things such as that. So these 3 working windmills are there, and then a couple other that are just there for tourists. And then we got a demonstration on how they make the wooden shoes that a lot of people still wear for working shoes. And then we got a cheese making demonstration, and we got to taste a bunch of cheese. And then I found a cacao cafe.
Nice.
Off in the middle of this, place in Netherlands. It was pretty awesome.
Wow. Why don't we take this moment to go for the break, and then hopefully you can set up some pictures to show us.
Sounds good.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick break right here for our sponsors. Hang out. We'll be right back. Enjoy the show.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Good day and welcome back to the Mushie Moment, May 13th, 2025. Did you line up some pictures? Do we got some pictures?
We do. Yeah, I did. Just I'm going to share this tab instead.
Take us on the tour. Take us on the tour.
Well, I'm gonna share this one. This was one of my. I went to the Van Gogh Museum. One of the things about a lot of the museums that I was at in Amsterdam is they're vertical. Buildings are they're narrow and they're tall. So to be able to show everything, I mean, you go in, you go around a floor, and you go up, and then you go up, and then you go up. So, I mean, and that's what they were all like, including the Van Gogh Museum, which was actually a newer building and much larger, but it was still the same idea. So the top floor of the Van Gogh Museum were two paintings in particular that I wanted to see. Starry Nights was not there, which made me kind of sad. But the sunflowers were there. And this one, which, of course, the only blossom by Van Gogh. So I got to admire that for a few minutes. And it was definitely a highlight of the trip. I worked hard to get the Van Gogh tickets. They were almost as hard to get as the Anne Frank house tickets, which I wasn't able to get. So that was just, it was a very beautiful, surreal moment to be standing in Amsterdam in the Van Gogh Museum and view any of the works of art, but this one in particular.
Would you recommend booking those tickets in advance too? Would that?
I would, now that I know what I know. There's a lot that you can do last minute. I did a crap ton last minute, such as the swings. I went to the Tulip Museum was last minute, and that was, I mean, very tiny but very cool. There was getting into the Wax Museum was super easy. Ripley's was easy. I went to the Amsterdam Dungeon, which is like a tour of all the craziness of the past. And that was incredible. But again, super easy to get tickets for. The higher end things such as, Rembrandt or Van Gogh or Anne Frank are much harder to get into. Yeah.
More photos.
I'm going. So this is my last day that I was there, and I ended up taking a bunch of pictures as I went through, whether it be dispensaries that I was visiting or places that I saw, and I thought this was a good folder to share because it shows quite a bit. So this was the Damp Creek Coffee House. It's one of the first coffee houses, and as I've learned, one of the more famous ones, apparently. So I went in here on my last day when I was walking around and had a coffee, and this is inside. And so I smoked a joint and just enjoyed this place.
So what year? Do you know what year that building and coffee shop and stuff was?
The building, no. The coffee shop was in the late 90s. So I think the Bulldog, which is the first one, was 1996.
Wow.
And this one I would have been like 98, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm not even sure. The Bulldog might have been earlier than that. Yeah. But I mean, I just love the woodwork on the inside and the art. And a lot of them are like that. And then, I mean, just the canals and the architecture. This is, a very just typical picture of what a canal looks like. I mean, people's boats parked along the sides, and their cars up above. Bikes rule the roost. This is, where is this? What am I?
That's interesting. There's no railings. Like, is this like the side seating of a coffee shop or cafe, and there's no railings around anything like that? It's just.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Putting out railings and whatnot is not, you don't need to. These are apartments, actually. So this is a residential street. There's no commercial on this street at all. These are all apartments. and more residential that I was just walking through. It's just a little different than where I was. Some artwork, there's like this kind of artwork is all over the place. And you'll see the artist, you'll see the pictures of the artist that painted it up beside it.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Neat recognition factors rather than just a, wow.
And they're getting ready. They are celebrating their 750th as a city, I think it is. Amsterdam 750.
Wow. What is
we
this?
are now sitting in another cafe. Yeah, this one was the 1E Hulp, which is another one of the first ones established in 1996.
Wow.
Yeah. And the artwork in all of them are just incredible. Nice and dark, you know, very comfortable. And this is outside as you're walking. There's all kinds of construction going on. This is kind of a hidden one. There's not a lot around this. Like, you know, this is one of those ones that you almost have to know it's there to go get to it. So I'm very thankful that I was told about it. Yeah. And then again, this I think is an amazing picture, because if you take a look to the left of this picture, you know, there's a little bit of grass here and like a little bit of deck, but there are some places that people are just coming out their door and getting on their boat. Like they don't have deck. So wow. Like this is people's back doors that we're looking at back here. Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of neat. Just some of the architecture as I was walking.
Is that a church in the back there?
It is. That's one of the churches in the background there.
Wow.
One of the older churches. There's 3 of them that they talk about on the tours for being old churches, and that's one of the 3. And this was just this is actually a newer building, but it stands out to me because it was white. So I took a picture as I was walking by.
Any idea of the year of that church?
No. Sorry.
I know they've got stuff right through 15, 16, 17s, 18s. It's just like mind-boggling. Oh, that's got to be another church. Is that another church?
It is. It is. And they're doing work, as you can see, trying to restore it. Oh. So this is on the outside of, I sent some of my friends a picture of a beautiful church looking, and it was originally a church building, and it's a mall, so it's a shopping mall. So this is the entrance of the shopping mall, and this is inside the shopping mall.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like this, as you can see, like I'm on a floor. There's 2 more floors down, and then the 2 floors above. I didn't go walking in the shopping mall. I didn't, it was all high-end stores, and I honestly just, didn't have that kind of money. But this is all original work.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. Gorgeous. Yeah. And then again, just the architecture I was taking pictures of as I was walking.
Yeah, there's so much history there, eh? So much history, even in just the architecture. Just wow.
Yeah. And then they're not shy. It's like, this is in an area we're totally outside the red light district here. These kinds of shops are all over the place. Masks and sex shops. You don't have to be in the red light district to have these shops. It was quite incredible. And then this is in where I got a tattoo, which is,
nice
little shop. The lady that took it.
Well, you don't have to blast through so fast.
Oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, no, it wasn't scenery. So
this is the tattoo shop?
Yes.
Is this in the tattoo shop? Really, eh?
Oh, yes. This is the Italian lady that tattooed me.
So a little bit different than some of the tattoo shops around here. It's not all...
Not all sterile looking, no.
Yeah, wow. Cool. Oh, and what was the magic thing about your tattoos that you discovered there?
Oh, in Europe, colored ink is banned in Europe. They don't know if it's cancer causing or not, and they believe it might be, so they banned it in Europe. And even the people that are tattooed over there as heavily tattooed as I am. So, I show up and I'm covered from head to toe, almost quite literally. And the majority of them are colored tattoos. So I would have people that have tattoos, even the ones that had tattoos, they'd be like watching me and they'd be taking pictures of me over their shoulders. And, so I was quite, the oddity in that world. And it took me a couple of days to get used to that. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of neat. A lot of comments from the bud tenders. The bud tenders were just like, they would just stop and stare at me and just go, wow. Yeah. So I got a couple of free coffees for it. So that's all good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is this place here you're showing us?
This is the most famous chip place, like fry place. So this had, from the time it opened up till the time it closed, it had a lineup. And what you're seeing there are just the people that get up close. As you come back, there's a break for people to walk the sidewalk, and then they have a gated line. And there is always a lineup to get these fries. They are spectacular. They are known as the Dutch's best fry.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
did you get any?
Tried them. Yes, I tried them, and yes, they were spectacular.
How long was the lineup you had to stand in?
I was lucky. Mine was there's only a couple extra people after the break, so I didn't have to wait that long. The line does move pretty fast because it's like they're constantly making them on the inside. Yeah.
Nice.
And then I just found I found a spiritual shop that had a bunch of amazing things that they imported from Mexico and Peru, actually. And I just took some pictures of some peyote plants that were in there.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then a really cool caripe that I was like, if I didn't have 10 caripes at home, I might have been, tempted to buy it.
Now, did you find many people that actually utilize the hape or any of the stuff like that?
This was on my last day, and this was the first I found it.
Oh.
Yeah.
What day did you find the cacao place?
The day I went to the gardens, which was, I think, on that Sunday. So I went on whenever I went to the gardens. It was early on in the first half. Yeah. Yeah. And this was a shop that just caught my attention. It was a Halloween shop. You could get any mask you wanted and be anything you wanted, literally.
Huh. And apparently that guy wanted to be a clown.
He did.
Oh.
And it's just a picture of me. This is a traditional Dutch pancake. So as you can see, it's quite large. And that's how they make them. And they either make them completely sweet or completely savory. And they'll add nuts and whatnot, but they're not one for adding fruits in the traditional Dutch pancakes. So this is a traditional Dutch pancake, which is just a really big, huge, thick or thin pancake. It's kind of shaped like a crepe, but it's made, instead of you using, crepe, it's pancake, right? So this is the chocolate Dutch pancake, and this is all a Dutch chocolate over my pancake. And shaved white Dutch chocolate, and it was really spectacular.
What's in the dish or the bowl?
Oh, that would be whipped cream.
Wow!
Yeah. And real whipped cream, like they, stuff that they whip. Like this was a traditional Dutch pancake house, and everything's done by hand.
Wow!
Yeah.
So it must have sucked then. Hey, you didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it at all. Oh my God, it was the best thing I've ever eaten. One of the best things I've ever eaten. It was very, very good. Yeah. And then this is the Moulin Rouge there. And, they have anything from burlesque dancing to exotic dancing to striptease to live sex shows.
What did you go see?
None of the above. It was very hard to find. I was very interested. I'm a heterosexual woman, and I was looking for, and I didn't end up finding a male burlesque show. I wanted to go see the men dance and the men's strip. And the only men's strippers I found were in the gay district. And yeah, I didn't, it's not what I was looking for. So, but yeah, like, I mean, these kinds of places were all over the place. You could go in and you could do peep shows to burlesque, to strip shows, to exotic dancing, to, live sex action of, man on girl, girl on girl, man on man. Yeah.
Wow.
Pick your flavor and if you look hard enough, you'll find it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like, I mean, like it's normal over there. Like it's this is just, it's normal. It's down in the middle of the red light district, and actually the most, the busiest red light district street. In the middle of this street is a daycare. Right? Like they everything's open and everything's there, and everybody's taught that this is normal from a very early age, and it was quite neat.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. This was one of the most the nicer looking canals that I saw. And as you see, I mean, like, there are doors here. People can pull up and park their boats and like just go in the doors.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is another coffee house I was at, the Greenhouse Effect. This is the oldest church from across the canal that's poking up along the top there. This is from 17 something. I can't remember the exact date.
Wow.
The Plug, another coffee house that I found along my walk. And then I'm sitting in the 420 coffee house looking at the De Kroon coffee house. This was just a few minute walk. These were my two favorites. I frequent these two on the regular.
So coffee shops there are like dispensaries downtown Vancouver, or 7-Elevens everywhere else.
Yeah, they are. With over 200, like I'd say 225 just to put a number on it. Like they're literally everywhere. Like the last day that I was there, I got up and I just went for a walk, and I'm like, I'm just going to go into each coffee shop and get a joint and smoke it and leave, right? Because you could get joints for a decent price because it was the bottom of the bags, right? Oh, we can't sell these bits, so they put them all together and they roll joints. That was the affordable way to smoke over there, to be honest. So that's what I did. And, I just went into each one on my last day and bought a joint and sat there and smoked it. And I don't know how many coffee houses I hit. I think there were at least 15. And there were some that I walked by on purpose because I was just too high.
How much hash? Lots of types of hash there?
There was, like, I mean, Moroccan hash was the biggest, like Moroccan style hash was the biggest, choices there. And, I got a few different kinds. Two of them were like, knock your socks off, amazing. And one of them just really wasn't, it was too oily. Like it hadn't, I don't know what the difference was, what they needed to do, but it was melty hash, not smoking hash. It's not yummy, and there was only, there was one joint that I got that they had mixed up that had tobacco in it. I couldn't smoke it. And then there was another gram that I bought when I first got there. And it was the cheapest gram I bought. And it was terrible. I rolled a joint and I couldn't finish it, and I didn't even bother to take the rest of it with me. It was that bad.
So how is it late? Like here, if you go into a dispensary here in Canada, you've got like your pre-roll section and your infused section and your weed section. And
go back to thinking legacy. Like think about walking into, like that dispensary that's beside Dana's Mushroom. You got the original mushroom shop, and you got the dispensary. You walk in, and they have like just a little, a little menu that says, "Here's 4 indicas, here's 3 sativas, here's the pre-rolls we have, here's some hash," and that's what this was like in every place. Most of it was, most places had little iPads set up that had the list on them, but that's what it was like. It was very legacy type orientated.
Oh yeah, okay, wow. But worth the trip.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I went over there and I decided, that I was just going to see as much as I could see. And I filled every day with as many tours as I could. There are plenty of digital walking tours that you can download onto your phone and then just follow. And you don't have to do it all at once. I did the walking tour I did, I did it probably over 4 days.
So explain that, because I don't actually really, you told me about that and I don't really understand.
Well, I mean, like for €10, I bought this thing, which, I went to, what is it called? It's called Touring Bee. So that's the name of the company. So I can even continue the tour, right? So the tour comes up. Let's see if this will focus in. And you see how it gives all these different spaces to go to?
Yeah.
So I go to number 1 and, I walk to it from where I am and it'll help me get there. And then when I get there, I hit play and I listen to, it's got a 1 minute and 48-second blurb about this place, which is the oldest church. You saw a picture of this church here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So so I listened to it. Oh, it's the oldest church and it's in the middle of the red light district and blah, 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 and et cetera, et cetera. And that's awesome. And when I'm done that, I click the next arrow and I follow the little thing and I go to the next place, which is another church, and you listen to the blurb on that and then you just keep going. And it had 16 points of reference that it took me to. So, it's where I learned a lot about the red light district. And it's where I learned about the daycare in the middle of the red light district. It's where I learned that the king's mother, who obviously used to be queen, she was an artist and she liked to work with brass. And there are a bunch of little brass sculptures that are around. Like, I mean, some of them are only small and flat. And there's a picture of one, in my little walking tour blurb that I did. And it's a woman's breast and she's holding her own breast. And so like, it's just literally, that much of, and they say that she molded that out of her own torso. And then she made it out of brass and then had her son get people go and place it. So like people woke up in the morning and it was there just all of a sudden. And like the artist is unknown. So they're speculating that it's this past queen because, she's an artist. She works with this. This is the type of art she likes to do. And, and of course the monarchy isn't confirming or denying anything. So it just like little things like that you learn on tours like this. So yeah, these are easy and inexpensive things that you can do to see the city.
Wow. And there's more than like one of those guided tours for Amsterdam?
Oh gosh, yeah. Tons of them.
Wow. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I know in New York they did one, I think it was New York, they did one quite a while ago, and they'd hired Steven Tyler to be the voice for the tour. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that when I go places, I just start walking and walking. That's a great idea because then you're not just walking, you can have a planned walk.
Yeah, and like, I mean, and that's the ability to hit pause and go and do what you want and then go back to it later is really kind of neat. Because then if you get to a place and you're like, I'm hungry and I want to stop, or I want to go, I found this museum on my walk and I want to go, you can pause that and come back to it later. And it's just a really great way of seeing a number of different things and learning just a little bit about the area that you're in. Yeah.
Another big plane. I just
Another big plane, yeah. One of the other really cool things I did is I went to the prostitute museum. It's called Red Light Secrets, and it's a you're given headphones and you get to walk around and listen to this character. So it's I don't know who they've got actually talking, but they're portraying one of the more famous prostitutes that was known there. So she told secrets of her life, and then she told stories of her friends and one of her friends who was murdered. So we got to walk through and learn a little bit from her about what prostitution was like years ago, and they tell you a little bit about today. And so that was really kind of cool. And the way that prostitution is looked at and governed in Amsterdam. And not just that, but the way drugs are looked at and governed in Amsterdam. It's absolutely incredible. And one of the neatest things that I saw being from Canada, living here in North America, and, seeing our wonderful country from coast to coast, and being out west, we definitely have a pandemic here with drugs. Our government has done it, as we all know. We could get into the political talk about that, but that's not what this is about. Any street in any city in Canada, you're going to find somebody doing drugs. And it's a scary situation. There are overdoses left, right, and center, and it's fucking terrifying. We have people that have a few of these get your drugs tested facilities, but they run into red tape and they're still illegal, and it's mind blowing. In Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, it is the complete freaking opposite. While I was there, I saw, I think, 3 homeless people, and I still say that the 2 of them are the same person. I just didn't recognize them fully. And one of those homeless people I saw doing an illicit type street drug. That's it. In 8 days of walking around the city on a regular basis, like 10 hours a day of nothing but walking around this city, that's all I saw. But I did see in stores, in corner stores, in that spiritual store I just showed you a picture of, there are test kits everywhere. Everywhere. You can get a test kit to test your drugs. Everywhere. Wow. They're just and they're not gross expensive either. It's not gonna if you can afford to go out and buy that gram or whatever, you can afford to spend a few more euro and get that test and save your life. No, you're supposed to do this much or this much, right? So that was it blew my mind. And just knowing the pandemic that's here in North America, and you go there to where people are tolerant and people are loving and people are accepting, and they have everything out in the open and they don't hide, and this is the way it could be. And it was just so I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but I did, coming from here and doing what I do. And it was just something really cool and beautiful to see and notice. Wow. And even when that gentleman was doing his drugs, he sat down on a bench, and he wasn't carrying bags. It was him, he had a couple of bags with him, but he sat down, he put us, like me pulling out a joint or rolling a joint, right? It was just as accepted as that. It blew my mind. Wow. That's pretty damn cool. It is. Yeah. Yeah. Where's your next journey going to be? I'm not sure. I've got places that are on the list, right? Anywhere from staying on this continent and, going down to Jamaica. I would love to see Jamaica. Peru is one that has crept up as I have done what I've done. I have a friend who moved to Malta. And I've heard so much about Malta in the last 2 years that it's crept up on the list. So I'd like to go there. I've got a friend that just moved to Portugal and is running ceremonies out of Portugal and has invited me over to be part of that. So that's on the list. And, the other childhood dream besides Jamaica is Australia. So, which one's going to be next? It's probably going to come down to Malta and Jamaica and, a trick between those two. Wow. Someday, yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome. It's also bringing us pretty much to the end of the podcast. It is. It was a great talk. Thanks for chatting with me about this, Steve. Thanks for taking me through the journey and taking all of us through the journey. That's awesome. Some of us haven't been there, and it's part of our dream too. And now we get to have just a little more inspiration. That's pretty damn cool. Yeah. Wow. Gracias. Thank you very much. That was absolutely awesome.
Hey, everybody, thanks for hanging with us here at the Mushie Moment podcast. We look forward to seeing you next week. Next week, we have Dana Harvey. She's a microdosing expert here in Vancouver and is going to share a whole bunch of data with you. So make sure you join us for next week as well. Thank you, Cindy, for coming on and taking us through the journey. That was awesome.
Thanks, Steve. Next week, guys. Bye.
Much love.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.